Welcome to our regular February.
Got a couple of,
meeting.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Everybody here, Don is on remote today.
Yeah.
We have a quorum. I'll ask Madam Secretary, please take the roll.
I'd like to say that the meeting is being shown live through YouTube also. Mr. Loveman,
Here.
Mr. Brookins,
Here.
Mr. Haywood,
Here.
Mr. Hallowell.
Here. He's waving.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm here. Sorry, for some reason I couldn't unmute myself, but yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Mr. Hancock,
Here.
Ms. Holland. Here. Ms. Turner, Mr. Young.
Here.
Thank you. Since Don is on remote, we need to approve his attendance at this meeting, and we can do it by voice.
We can do it by voice, but Mr. Hollowell needs to identify where he is
Right,
and the
okay.
reason for
Don,
it.
could you tell us where you are and
Yes, I am and as soon as I get this done, I will be traveling for work and I'll be on Interstate 81.
thank you. Okay, so we need a voice vote to do this.
Yeah, a
I
motion.
move we approve Mr. Holloway's.
Okay, all those in favor, let it know by saying aye.
Second.
I'm sorry.
Aye.
Opposed by same sign. Okay,
All right, Mr. Chairman. it means-
that's it. No problem at all, okay. Everyone received their minutes. Any additions or corrections to the minute?
Move we approve.
Motion to approve,
Second.
have a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes as written, please let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by same sign. Okay, minutes approved, great, thank you. Citizen comments.
No citizen comments.
Okay, okay, all right. Michael?
Yep, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, couple of items that aren't in your report I want to highlight. First is we have an open house scheduled for March 10th. From 7 to 9, it's gonna be at the Green Ridge Rec Center. So Richard, thanks for hosting us there at the multipurpose room there. And again, this is something we've done every year for a few years now as a employee recruitment tool. Sarah and her team thought, given the interest in our water supply issues, that we could maybe use that as the focus this year. So we'll have employees there, tables. It'll kind of look like the what we typically call a VDOT meeting, where there'll be a series of tables set up and people can walk around and ask questions. And we're going to do it again that on March 10th from 4 to 7 at the Green Ridge Rec Center. So we think Green Ridge might be convenient for a couple of reasons. One, the demographics of the people that have been attending our meetings is either in the city of Roanoke or Botetourt County. So we're kind of splitting the difference being at Green Ridge a little bit. And the Green Ridge has a lot of good parking there. You know, none of our facilities really have great parking. So hopefully we can accommodate a large crowd there. So
How's it gonna be advertised?
we'll put it on our website, social media, I believe the Southwest Virginia Data Center Transparency Alliance has already reached out to us about the date and time so they can get out their members. There's a Facebook group in Botetourt that the gentleman there has been pretty active. Like he actually asked me if I could speak to a different meeting. So I think we could maybe get it posted there too. And that seems to be the two forums that people following this topic have been using. So, and we still hope to have a little bit of an employee recruitment piece, but, hopefully, we can again answer some questions about the data center project. So.
Maybe also, notify our local officials as well.
Right. Actually did have a conversation with the mayor yesterday about that. So, yeah. So,
What was the date again?
oh, it's March 10th. Here, let me pass this around. So left that want me there. Oh, nice. Okay. I got another item that's not in your package that I wanted to highlight. The General Assembly's in session and there's a lot of things going on, and A couple of bills the compensation committee meeting talked about ahead of this meeting, but one that I wanted to bring up, and it looks like it may be resolving itself, but there was a bill both in the House and Senate to either restrict, or the Senate bill is actually would be a ban on land application of biosolids. So this is something we've been worried about for a number of years. And however, both patrons, Farm Bureau, the wastewater industry, the environmental groups that were supporting the patrons, they all came together and they've come up with a compromise bill. Both those bills have passed their respective chambers and they've been flipped over to the other, but there's general agreement among the patrons to substitute the compromise bill for their older bills. So we do expect a new biosolids bill to pass the General Assembly if the governor signs it. The target here is PFAS compounds that might be present in the biosolids. And as a refresher, we land apply primarily in Franklin and Bedford counties. We actually have a list of farmers that would like to get the material. We have more people wanting the material than we can supply. We've been doing this for many years in both those counties. It's very economical for us because we don't dewater the material. And what I mean by that is when the biosolids leaves the wastewater treatment process and goes into anaerobic digesters, that we reduce the volume there, and that's where we produce the gas that we're selling to Roanoke Gas. Then we put that material into some lagoons, and it stays in those lagoons for about 9 months and kind of continues to have a liquid composting going on. It just sits there and continues to mature, and the water will float to the top, and we take that off and send it to the front end of the plant. And in the spring through the fall, excuse me. Okay, we land apply that, and we land apply it as a liquid, and it's about 10 to 12% solid, so it's kind of like a thin cake batter kind of consistency. So we send it out to farms in tanker trucks, and when the tanker truck gets out to the farm, it's actually transferred to a big tractor called a Terrogator, which has these tines that jab into the ground and subsurface inject the material. And we're land applying on either hay fields or grasslands for cattle. We don't do any food crops or things like that. It's all cattle and hay operations. Primarily right now, we've been in Bedford the last few years because the dairy industry has had some recovery in Franklin County. So there's lots of manure waste available for farmers in Franklin County. But Bedford, the soil types there are really amenable to land applications. The soils there can be poor, and so the farmers that get that material essentially provides low cost. We don't charge the farmer anything, so free really nitrogen and phosphorus. So they don't have to add as much inputs to their soil. And also incorporates organic matter into the soil, so it improves what the soil scientists would call the tilth of the soil, and just makes the soil more robust, richer. But there is concerns that you can get PFAS compounds in those. Unfortunately, the method for analyzing biosolids has only been around about 18 months now, and there's actually been quality control issues with. It works for wastewater, but it hasn't been 100% proven out for biosolids yet. So there's still some concerns about the testing. We have very limited data. We have one data point, basically. We have a second one being analyzed right now. And under the rules that are being considered, we would be fine. But I am a little concerned that we need to collect more data because we don't really have a lot of data to know whether this rule is going to be problematic for us. And the reason it might be problematic is if we have to stop land applying biosolids, because we don't apply a solid right now, we apply a liquid, we would have to put in dewatering facilities to dry that material out. And the only other option for us would be to go to the landfill, the Smith Gap landfill. I've talked to the landfill director there, and it's $69.50 a ton for us to land apply. So it's one thing we're going to look at in the upcoming year is a preliminary engineering report to see what kind of dewatering facilities might work well for our facilities. But it's probably a $40 million capital item for us to put in dewatering facilities, and then the ongoing O&M costs, which Right now, we do that program for a little bit more than $2 million a year, and this would be 5 million plus with the landfill fees and stuff like that, so.
If we put this in the landfill, but then they bring you leachate.
Yeah, right, it's
kinda
a-
like a.
Yeah, exactly.
Forever.
Exactly. And unfortunately, we're short in the landfill space, so that would be,
What percent solids they want to landfill?
it needs to pass the, paint filter test. But, that one's actually just an economic analysis, like if we were to, dry it to say 20 or 22% with belt filter presses, you haul more.
Yeah,
If we were to put in centrifuges and get into the 30s,
yeah.
you haul less. We actually could put in a dryer and get it to like a coffee grinds kind of consistency. And that would be like 70% solids. There might be other applications for that, but if it still had to go to the landfill, it'd just be less material we're bringing in. So we need to have an economics analysis to look at all these. And unfortunately, until we have some more data, we don't really have a good method to just, we need to collect more data to see where we're at. All this has happened very quickly. And I was surprised the patron for the land, the one that would ban land application of biosolids. He is a Republican senator from the eastern side of the state. He partnered up with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation and League of Conservation Voters. And coming out of the Senate Ag Committee, he and all the Democrats voted together, and then the Republicans, except for Senator Suderline, voted against it. Senator Suderline turned out to be the deciding vote to allow it to advance. So that was, yeah, kind of interesting. But so my point is the typical politics you see here, Democrat, Republican, don't seem to be at play here. This is more about farmers and whether it should be appropriate to land apply this material or not.
Do states like West Virginia and North Carolina around us have that ban?
They don't. The only one that has a ban right now is Maine. And that one it's caused a lot of problems for Maine, like right away. Maine only has a couple of landfills. So right away they started exporting that material to Canada. Then Canada turned around and banned it. And then they had to basically back off their ban and allow the landfills to exceed their capacity limits to start taking the material. So what seems to be driving it for the senator, the patron of the bill, is Maryland is getting ready to implement something similar. And so you've already started seeing wastewater plants and land appliers from Maryland sending their material in Virginia. And it was this perception that somehow Maryland was going to dump on Virginia that seems to have driven this. And there's definitely a little bit of a lockstep between legislators that are part of the Chesapeake Bay coalition in both states. They seem to be working together. The bills seem to be mirroring each other. So I think there's a solution here that doesn't necessarily cause us too much, but we just don't have enough data yet to know. So stay tuned, I guess.
Individual counties have been looking at this for
Yeah.
20 years or more.
Right. The good news is, in talking to their, John Lanford, who runs the Resource Authority, is, he currently cannot, accept that material, but, except to go in the landfill. But there is an opportunity for maybe him to, amend his permit and use this with a soil blending operation for daily cover. So it might reduce his daily cover requirements. So I think there is some room here if we had to go to the landfill, but obviously we don't want to be trucking the biosolids all the way up to the Smith Gap, every day. So
How long has land application been a norm?
oh, we've been doing it since the early 90s, and it's just it's been around a long time. Again, our farmers love it.
Yeah.
And we don't really have I would say a PFAS problem, but it's based on one data point. But the limits that are being set are so low that without more data to know and get a better profile, I can't say for sure that it's not going to be a problem for us.
So the other interesting thing about this is neither, to my knowledge, your facilities or the landfill are at the Chesapeake Bay watershed.
That's right.
So
This is all about the coalition that is looking to improve the bay, and we're not in the bay, so we get kind of drug into this anyway.
there's some different bays, but.
Yeah, we're going down to Albemarle Sound, but
Where's the sludge from Bencastle?
It goes to the landfill right now, and then they just put it directly in the landfill.
Okay.
But they don't generate much. I think John told me he takes Spin Castles and the Allegheny Regional Plant. You kind of go there, so. But they don't send them much, and so it's not a big number. We would be a big customer of
Yeah.
the landfill. So, so just going through the report, Mr. Chairman, do want to highlight the wonderful work of our field operations and water quality crews. We had a lot of water main breaks in the end of January, the last 2 weeks of January. And then those kind of continued through February. So we've had pretty much a month solid of breaks. We're reporting 128 breaks in January. Most of those happened toward the end of the month. We've already had 115 in February. So that stretch of cold weather was problematic for the distribution system, but our crews did a wonderful job. We pretty much had everybody fixing water main breaks. So we weren't doing a lot of well, we did have some sewer issues going on, but most of our CIP crews were fixing water main breaks. I want to have a shout out to EC Pace. We actually had a main break on a bridge. They have a crew that's used to working on bridge. They have the right equipment. They were able to get in and fix that overnight for us, fix that main on that bridge. We're actually looking at lining that main in the next few months to make sure that doesn't happen again. But they were kind of at the right time, right on the spot for us. Really helpful there. But our folks put in a lot of time into January and through the first few weeks of February. So, and it wasn't just our field crews doing the repairs. Our water quality folks were balancing tank levels across the organization. We had to run Spring Hollow more than we typically would. Some people had to stay late and everything like that. So real team effort to deal with this. So let's see, on page 2, we talked last month about adding a new water crew. And so we provided the cost associated with doing that. It's expensive to add a new crew. It's about $675,000 to outfit them, and then the O&M expense for new crew is about $300,000. But we do need to add another crew. This is kind of part of a multi-year step that we've been doing for field operations. We added a new sewer crew last year, and again, we'd like to add a new water crew this year. So I think Don had suggested if we needed it to go ahead and start doing it now. The pricing though, I think we'd like to. We can start lining up the equipment and recruiting new members, but this is something I think we'd be including in next year's budget. By the time we could stand it up anyway, the time frame is such that it would be part of next year's budget.
But I mean, this is gonna be an annualized cost. I mean,
Right.
the equipment is.
Oh yeah, the equipment's at one time.
Some probably lasts from 5 to 20 years for some of the equipment.
Yeah, dump trucks would get a long time. A lot of
Yeah.
use out of those.
And excavators, yeah, that's something.
On page 3, I want to point out our debt set-off program. I know some of you all are aware of this, but the state of Virginia has a program where local governments can submit unpaid fees. This could be quite a few things: parking tickets, other kind of liens, and for our case, it's unpaid water bills. You can submit that debt to the state. This year, we turned in a little less than $500,000 of unpaid debt. And the state will try to match that up against tax returns for citizens and deduct that from their tax returns and then send us the money. So it's a source of recovering bad debt, and it works well for us. Leon, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
No, we have seen an increase in the collections through the debt set-off program probably since October, and so we're hopeful that we will get quite a bit of money collected in this year's tax cycle.
Do we intercept state return and federal return or just the state?
Just the state. Yeah.
And lottery winnings also fall into that, so somebody will take a little bit of their money to pay the utility bills.
On page 5, and you guys probably noticed it last couple of days, it started raining, so that's good. We got a nice rain event last weekend, a little less than an inch, but that was on top of our melting snows. So we've started seeing the reservoir fill. As of today, we're 11.3 feet down, compared to last Wednesday. I think we were like 12.6 feet. So we've added a foot and a third or so, to the reservoir. We're getting rain today. Scott tells me we're getting, good flows in the, creeks and the Roanoke River. So, we're gonna continue to add water, through, from this event, and it's supposed to rain again, I think through tomorrow and then possibly Sunday again. So we're getting to that time of year where, the reservoir starts to fill, both reservoirs start to fill, due to the kind of spring rain. So, we, obviously we've had a lot of, people, looking at this number, this year, especially in context of the data center project. And I've tried to let people know that, it takes most of the spring to fill it up. It's not a sprint. One rain event does not top off the code. But we're moving in the right direction there. So very happy about that. Let's see, on page 6, we had an equipment failure at Spring Hollow. The main filtration units, there, we have 3 of them. They're upflow clarifiers. And the screens and grids that hold the media in place. So for most filters, you're flowing water down through them. These are ones where you flow water up through them. And so there's a grid system in place that, keeps them in place, keeps the media in place. We had one of those, fail. We're kind of working with Virginia Tech to kind of figure out maybe what happened here. Those were actually replaced in 2015, but they seem to, when you look at the backside of them, they've had excessive corrosion. So the previous ones had lasted a little bit more than 20 years. We got less than, well, I guess a little bit more than 10 years out of these. So, we started seeing the same corrosion issues on the second unit. So we went ahead and just, ordered new replacements for all 3 of the screens. And those are being shipped. In addition, since, we were gonna have, number 3 down, we decided to just go ahead and change the media out on that. That had been done in a number of years. So, kind of an expensive emergency, repair here, but, gives us an opportunity to, while it's down, to get in there and do some maintenance and change out the media there. So, Scott, I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, Mike pointed out, it's an unusual failure, so we're gonna work with Virginia Tech, just taking a look. It's aluminum, and so the level of corrosion, does not seem normal, so.
Aluminum instead of stainless.
And to 2015, actually for the pricing from the vendor, you can buy almost 4 sets of aluminum screens for 1 set of stainless steel. We do somewhat wonder, in 2015 is when we saw some problems in the American metals market. And so that period of time, we saw a number of items across, metals that we ordered where they were substandard. So that's part of the question. Was this a one-off because the qualities of metal from the period of time they were procured? So we'll work through that.
Or do we have a corrosion issue that?
Right.
Yeah, but it is significantly cheaper to go back with aluminum than stainless steel.
How do you adjust to the budget with the same things like this happening?
So we, we do have reserve funds for these kind of things, and we actually have an account in our capital called unanticipated breakdowns and repairs. So, because this stuff does happen. Yeah.
And how much do we keep? Like, is it?
So, I think we budgeted it at a couple $100,000, but again, we have a kind of reserve for this kind of thing. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. At the top of page 7, I want to point out that the Beaver Dam, Creek Dam upgrades are finishing up. Our staff member that's monitoring the construction up there says it's a real mud pit up there right now. But when it dries out and we're finished, it might be a good field trip if you guys want to go up there and look at it. It's pretty impressive structure that we've had to, to meet the state's dam safety standards. We've constructed up there, so it might be something in May or June timeframe when again we get all the road cleaned up and everything dries out. We could schedule something to go and take a look at it. But it's a pretty impressive structure.
I've never heard you cuss before.
Yeah, the dam safety standards. Our guys like to say, when the ECR guy shows up, he's the dam safety inspector. So
Yeah.
Let's see, on page 8. In the middle of the page, just want to point out that we are starting to get close on our renovated meeting space room downstairs. definitely we will have that room available by the June meeting. I'm hoping maybe the May meeting, but it'll definitely be ready by the June meeting. So we're making good progress downstairs. And then, on page 9, there's a picture of Carpent's Cove, iced over. Brian's here today, and Brian tells me that one time the entire cove did freeze solid across the entire thing. But this was about 95%, and so we don't see that too often, but that gives you an idea how cold it was for how many days into January and the first part of February. So a lot of ice on top of the reservoir. So Brian, you remember when it was like it froze over solid? Do you remember that? Yeah.
2015.
So it it doesn't happen often, but it's been cold. So almost. I mean, it was. Yeah. Remember, we don't allow swimming, so yeah. Right underneath that, want to highlight that we had our apprenticeship tour Saturday, February 7th. And we had 16 students and their parents come out for the tour. It was great. We're very excited. I think we have some good candidates for our apprenticeship program. So we'll continue to move through that process and hopefully get them on board by the summer. So.
Do you know the mix up between county and city?
I do not. Sarah, do you remember?
It was primarily county on the tour,
Okay,
but we had some city students that were interested but weren't able to make the tour.
okay, thank you.
We haven't received all the applications yet.
All right, thanks.
So page 10, speaking of Sarah, her team was awarded the Blue Ridge Gold Summit Award for internal communications. That was for all our 20th anniversary employee milestones. So they got recognized by the association that public relations professionals belong to. So congratulations, Sarah. And you can see here, there's a link to a YouTube channel. The PBS documentary we did is out on our YouTube channel if you want to go back and watch it again, or that's assuming PBS is still running it various
I think
times.
they have 1 or 2 more times, but they said we can go ahead and put it out.
I watched it this week. I thought it was excellent.
Thank you.
It was so great from a historical perspective. And it's just a good reminder of how important this authority is. It's great.
We've got good feedback from boys too.
Yeah. And lastly, on page 12, just want to highlight, in January, we had our annual meeting with all the fire public safety folks here in the building. Something we started doing a few years ago. Tesha and her team up in engineering services coordinate this. And it's just an opportunity for us to get together with all the fire departments, ask them what they're seeing out in the field. Are there areas that they have concerns about? An opportunity for us to tell them about some things we're thinking about. We talk about standards for the types of fire hydrants and where, again, where they see maybe low pressure concerns. And so it's a fairly, it was most of the morning. We had good participation from all the area localities, and just an opportunity to kind of coordinate with our friends in the fire departments. Because again, it's they're kind of relying on us to have functioning hydrants for them before they fight fires. And obviously we want to know what their concerns are and if they're seeing problems so we can get those fixed. So, and I think this is our, well, there's probably a break during COVID, but we did it for a few years before COVID, and then we've been doing it every year since then. And Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Any questions for?
Might keep jumping over, but can you comment on the Summit View, the economic development piece of the Summit View? Go exactly, remind us what that is again?
Oh, yeah. So we've been working in Franklin County to continue to expand the wastewater capacity at Summit View. And if you're not familiar with Summit View, it's a business park in Franklin County that we've been working with Franklin County for almost 10 years now to help them develop that. We have a contract with the town of Rocky Mount to actually take wastewater from Summit View down 220 and discharge it to the town. Now, we haven't started doing that, but we keep building little pieces of that and increasing capacity. And so Franklin County's been really good about getting grants, and they actually got a state economic development grant for $5 million last year to allow us to build out the system further. We actually did it a lot cheaper than than we were anticipating, and so there's actually about $2 million left over, and the state is giving us permission to actually spend that in the town of Rocky Mount, because we did a study and we determined that where we're discharging their system, if we do some improvements downstream of that, we'll actually be able to increase the discharge from Summit View to the town system. Right? Yeah, right now we're limited to about 400,000 a day. We could actually take it to 7. We still have some additional work to do, but when we first started, I think we were 110,000 a day, and now we're up to 4, and should be able to go to 700,000. So we keep increasing wastewater capacity there, but.
It's gonna be one of the, in my opinion, one of the most successful development partnerships with Franklin County and us to be able to, continually develop that site.
They had now 3 people in the park. Right now, the wastewater actually goes to our Words treatment plant. But we are gonna need to take that out of service and start sending it to Rocky Mount pretty soon. They currently in the park is stick pack. They make plastic like stirrers and things like that. And then one of the credit unions has their back office operations there.
Really, so.
But the big announcement was traditional medicinals, the tea operation. They've started construction there, and when that goes online, we'll have to start sending wastewater to Franklin County or to town of Rocky Mount. So,
Thank you.
I think there's going to need some expansion. People are proposing some, I think, of residential units at Westlake.
right, and actually, there was just another improvement there. And so between Scott and his water quality guys and our engineering folks, we're actually getting ready to expand the Westlake plant. I can't believe I'm saying that, because for years we had hardly any flow to it, but that site allows us to expand, put in more drain fields, and we'll have to add some treatment capacity. But Westlake is growing. There's another assisted living facility going in. There's these apartments going in, townhomes and things like that. It's for a long time, we didn't see a lot of development around the lake after the 2008 economic crash, but it started to pick up quite a bit. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, financial report.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I have the financials for the month of January. Taking a look at the water fund, water sales is right on target at 58%, with the other operating revenues at 63%. Operation and maintenance expenses at 52%, and the net income from operations is at 111%. Taking a look at the water pollution control fund, sewer charges are at 58%. So both retail sales are right on target, and operating revenues on the sewer fund is at 57%. Operation and maintenance expenses are at 55%, with net income from operations at 68%. Taking a look at the combined statement, operating revenues are at 60%, operating expenses combined as 53%, and net income from operations is at 89%. And then below, you see our cash analysis at the end of January, we had $77.4 million. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay. Any questions for anybody? Financial report.
I'll just make one comment. Harvey, you mentioned the Summit View, but on the sewer side, contributed capital, you see the 2.2 million. Majority of that is funds that we're receiving from the grant.
No other questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Jeremy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. No developments on the Ferrum transaction. We had received some optimistic communications a while ago, but then those seem to have petered out. We are still operating the system, of course, under the operating agreement that's in place. So it really is just a matter of waiting for rural development. In prior conversations, Tammy and I and Boardman, we talked about a potential closing date, and I think ideally we'd like to close at the end of the fiscal year. So there's no particular urgency unless this just continues to go on for many, many more months. But hopefully we can get this done by the end of June. But Corbin was thinking that was a good opportunity to turn things over. Yes. preferably the one ending in about 4 or 5 months. Bridgewater, we've done a lot of work on Bridgewater over the last month. We've had some meetings with the SEC and are in the process of responding to a request for more information from the State Corporation Commission. We don't foresee any issues or difficulties getting SEC approval. We hope that will be forthcoming in the next month or so. We have prepared all the closing documents. I've identified some of those in the report. So we're ready to go as soon as we get that SEC approval. Interestingly, there is an operating agreement here that is in draft form, but the parties have elected not to engage it at this point. So Westlake Drainfield is continuing to operate their system. And Bridgewater Grand, one of the developments, that's the newer development that's coming around north of 122 there, does have a lift station and some infrastructure that's ready to go live. So that'll probably connect into the system, and we're working with Bridgewater Grand's council now for the water authority to go ahead and take over that small portion of equipment that'll be dedicated to the authority. And then it'll then flow into the system that Westlake Drainfield is operating, and it will eventually take over. The next page, I mentioned the FOIA case that's ongoing. Other than some filings by the parties, not a lot of activity in that case over the last couple of weeks. We do have 2 motions pending in the Court of Appeals, one from each side. The motions practice in the Court of Appeals is a little unusual. Normally, we're just dealing with the merits of an appeal, but there are some issues here that the parties have seen fit to file some motions asking for the court to address. One of those is a motion to reconsider that we filed. There is a pending motion in the circuit court, which we'll have a hearing on in about 2 weeks, and that relates to the construction of an earlier order and where things stand as far as the disclosure of some redacted information. But again, that'll be in about 2 weeks. Hopefully that'll begin to shed some light on where this is going. I will say, we have collaborated some with council and we've gained some assistance. I can talk more about that if we want to go into a closed meeting, but I know that was something that folks had asked about. Mike and I and a bunch of staff met with some representatives of New Hope Church. They had an issue associated with a claim. Mike may want to comment on it, but we worked out a resolution which allows some infrastructure improvements that serve the benefit of both the water authority and the church. So it was a good couple-hour meeting that allowed us to come to an understanding on a path forward.
Yeah, they had done an expansion of their church, I think put a family life center and had to provide the city fire department had required a hydrant that could meet a certain capacity. Their engineer, and again, in our opinion, their engineer missed it. They are operating under a provisional CO, certificate of occupancy. They wanted to get it cleared up, and we've met and we found a solution for it. We think their engineer mistake. Their engineer tried to say we were at fault, so and the church was kind of caught in the middle. So,
and it does allow for some expanded water lines.
It does,
customers and things. So, and then the Wallace Avenue issue I mentioned probably many months ago, and it went away because communications with the council on the other side seemed to die off. But they've resurfaced. This is just a parcel in the city where there was a sewer line underneath that no one was aware of. Indeed, the old city engineering maps reflected that the sewer line was where it belonged in the street, but in fact it is under the parcel. So we had an innocent purchaser who acquired the property, couldn't do anything with it because of the sewer line that ended up being there. And so we've arranged to acquire that from them. We looked at the easement option. And frankly, with Tesha and Mike, it just wasn't, the easement, frankly, even under our calculation standards, cost more than just acquiring the property. So it seemed like that was the path of least resistance. So,
You were able to settle on the price and everything?
yeah, it's already resolved. Yeah. And that's all, hopefully when some of the other items go away, I can get the things in the miscellaneous. Those are the items that are taking up most of my time, Mr. Chairman, and
Thank you, Nick.
happy to answer any questions anybody may have.
Any questions or comments for Chairman? Being that there are none, we will move on to reports from committee chairs. Committee, that it? Better?
Yeah, compensation committee met just prior to this meeting. And one of the things we wanted to talk about was the, I guess, extended.
Yeah. So we, if you remember in the fall,
Tell me the name.
yeah, paid family leave, paid caregiver leave. There we go, yeah.
See, that's why I had.
So, this was, an idea we had brought to you all in the fall. We have an issue right now again with our hybrid employees who, have a great disability benefit if they need to go out on FMLA, but it only covers them. It doesn't cover if they have to be a caregiver for a spouse or another family member. And so we were looking to do kind of a wraparound benefit there for them. The General Assembly kind of beat us to it. There's two bills that are under consideration right now. One which would mandate paid FMLA leave for all businesses in Virginia, and another one that would mandate paid sick leave. So we're I'll turn it back over to Hunter. So since those are pending, we decided just to wait on implementing the benefit we were talking about until we can see what happens with the
Yeah,
General
we'll see
Assembly.
if any of that becomes law this year. Make a decision after that.
We plan on meeting next month.
Yes,
right?
yes, we plan to meet again next month prior to this meeting.
Any other reports from committee chairs? Yep. If there are none, move on to operational measures.
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this is something we've kind of done annually ahead of, again, the budget process, just to look at some of the metrics that water quality and customer operations keep. And I'm going to turn it over to Scott and Liana to take you through these.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we're pleased to give you the update, the annual metrics that we keep track of. I think both of our teams keep track of a lot more metrics, but we think these are the most meaningful for the board. So I'll cover the metrics for the water quality operations from Ms. Stoltz. So I'll turn it over to her to cover customer operations. So. All right, next one. We'll go on to the next one, please. Good one. So we'll start with the water update. And so we've consistently tracked these metrics over time. So you'll see the updated numbers in 2025. Our treatment costs per million gallons produced stands at $1,141. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I've just shut it, almost doubled.
Yes, ma'am. So the next slide will help with some of that, but we have seen dramatic increases that the board had to deal with on electricity. Electricity is one of the most prominent. And then chemicals after COVID, it was not an immediate reaction, but we really saw a lot of different dynamics in the chemical market. I think as you see the data, because we've broken some of that out, it's beginning to soften a touch. So we're hopeful.
I would say we also, like everybody was experiencing kind of the great resignation of employees. And so we implemented a couple of different pay increases. I want to say the combined number was close to 25% pay, over several years. And so those are kind of reflected in that number too.
So if you want to, if you go to the next slide. So here's part of the story on our expenses. So the dotted line would represent, that includes the PFAS treatment. And so in 2024, that was $1.8 million in GAC costs. In 2025, that's $2.4 million. So I will point out, with the board support, and I think this has been phenomenal benefit for the community, we obviously got cost recovery from the responsible parties. So the costs actually experienced by our customers are the dark blue line. So while the costs are higher and correctly reported, what our customers actually experience. And so this year, the equivalent would be $812 if we hadn't got cost recovery. So today, the cost recovery from Chemours is $13,364,590. And so that directly helped offset, and I think honor the board's commitment that we started the PFAS discussion with, that the customers were not going to be impacted by this problem. And so very pleased to be able to show that on the chart. And I believe that all the commitments to the customers were met. Next slide. This one actually will go with another slide that we've added this year. And so we obviously have two large reservoir plants, very mature systems. And really, I think the big walk away from this slide is we have the capacity because we've talked about before, you have the same cost inputs, whether that facility is producing 8 million gallons or 16 million gallons from a personnel standpoint. And so we actually would be much more efficient to produce higher volumes of flow from our facilities. Next slide. And so this is our water treatment chemicals. A number of these do not have AWWA metrics. It's a little disappointing because I think it would be very helpful to kind of see this from national. Although there are some differences in regions. You know, there are some regions that are taking chemical supply from Canada and impacted more so by tariffs that have seen really dramatic increase in the last couple of years. We're fortunate our supplies are not impacted at this point by tariffs, but we are seeing a softening on the chemical pricing. It was really nice to get chemical bids this year and see prices lower. It's not that upward trend.
Wait, you said it went down?
Yes, a number of our chemical prices did decrease this year.
Nice.
And so that helps take some of the pressure off.
Great.
Next slide. Not true with electric. But I will say the electric, and when you go back to the chart, so the electric was $205 per million gallons in 2024. It's 206 this year. We do have a presence on the BML VACO committee that negotiates rates. I know the city of Roanoke has representatives on that. And so it's good and bad news. The rates are going to go up in the next contract with AEP. But thankfully, there's been a very good group of attorneys and accountants working on that. And so at least for the jurisdictions, we will have some stability. It should be a little more predictable. There are some unknowns related to the PJM auction, some expiring provisions this year that could give everyone rate shock, and we'll just continue to track that.
Didn't we do a project that we did something with electricity where we
At the wastewater plant?
Yeah.
Yes, and at the wastewater plant, that's our single biggest load. And we should go back and take a look at what the impacts would have been if we had not combined those.
That's what I was
because
gonna ask.
They were distributed meters.
I think it would be good to know.
It masked the savings we think we would have achieved. That project was expected to achieve about 200,000 a year in savings. And then obviously the rates went up like a hockey stick.
Right.
So it softened it, but
Yeah, we
took away.
we constructed a private substation.
Yeah.
And we're taking power off of AEP's transmission
Mhm.
grid instead of through their distribution. So we saved the distribution charges.
Right.
And we also, to Scott's point, consolidated all the meters behind one meter. So we're a larger meter, you get the base charge change there. But I hate to see what it would have been like if we hadn't done that project.
Well,
because-
that would be nice to
Yeah,
know.
because
You know,
our prices have still gone up there.
exactly, much more.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Honeywell project, what, 14?
Right.
14.
Yeah, and so we we've been doing our best to try to control the energy prices, but like everybody else, they're they're just going up.
No, one benefit too we got from the project is we're fed from two substations. So had we not done that project, AEP is now charging $200,000 a year for the right to redundant power. So you don't get anything except the redundant power. So we improve redundancy and we don't pay that on the transmission line.
Mhm.
So should we have the benefit without incurring the costs we would have seen if we stayed on
I
distribution?
mean, that was great foresight on your guys' part to implement that. I mean, it was before large increases in electricity and, put in that place, I hate to see if we had not done that.
Although I think Mike and I would have loved to have been sitting here saying, look at all the years of savings, but I think they're there. It's
They're
just
there,
not
but
apparent.
they're offset by all the increases
Increases,
in charges, yeah.
All right. This one I thought was really pertinent. We added to the presentation this year. And so this is a comparison of our available source capacity versus our allocated capacity. And so there is an AWWA benchmark. And so we are in that top quartile really range. And so that just shows, in my mind, prudent planning, because obviously when you're reaching that 75 or the bottom 25% at the top, those are planning horizons for future capacity. And I thought this would be helpful for the board to see the comparison of where we're at and how that trends nationally from available water supply. Next slide. So now we'll move over to the wastewater side. Wastewater side, very pleased to know the headliner is a decrease in cost from $947 to $897. A lot of these costs, again, driven by chemical and electric, and we've seen some improvements there. Tammy Longfield did calculate the city of Salem's bulk rate recently that's provided to them, that it resulted in about a 5% decrease in rates to Salem, which they were pretty pleased to see.
That'll go into effect, July 1 of this year for the seeing a rate reduction this year.
So next slide.
The treat per million gallons per employee, I guess that's because of reduced I&I, a lot of it.
Yeah, can you go back?
Yeah.
Back one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one thing we have seen, is the flows at the plant are down. Some of that is probably due to the drought issues, but we haven't seen I&I there, but a lot of it's due to our work in the collection system, to dry things up, so.
Yeah, that number will still hunt. I mean, we're obviously gonna get, like Mike said, we made dramatic improvements, but we get a really wet year.
Yeah.
The number goes up.
Yeah.
And so it's gonna hunt in a range, and we've kind of seen that with the city of Salem rate. We use a 3-year flow average. But it's really surprising every time how that rate can hunt up and down, and it's really attributed, when you're dealing with a number in the billions, that moves the needle. So on our wastewater treatment cost per million gallons, we are in the top quartile of the AWWA. Really pleased that this year we're actually moving even further up. So I think that speaks to the efficiency of the wastewater operations. Next slide. To Randall's point, this is our wastewater treatment per employee. So again, it just shows that I think we're in a really favorable range with where we're at with the size of the facility. The one thing you have to take into account in these is the complexity of treatment. And actually, we have one of the most complex, heavily regulated plants in the Commonwealth. The only plant that's similar to us is UOSA. And UOSA basically discharges into a drinking water reservoir. All right, biosolids costs, Mike mentioned this earlier. We're really pleased that this remains stable, but this is an area where we obviously have concerns and really could dramatically impact the overall costs in wastewater treatment.
So the cost right now, running, 180 there a ton. Again, if you added the landfill fee and the cost to dewater, we're well over $300 a ton. So hopefully, again, that bill is not going to affect us, but it has operational consequences for us if we have to landfill.
So on our chemical cost per million gallons treated, this one has continued to escalate up slightly. Part of that is one of our heavy use chemicals is ferric chloride. And so ferric, we're trying to control copper. And so copper is a concern. We do not want metal limits in a permit. And so we found through some study that our copper, some of our copper loading at the wastewater plant was actually attributed to the ferric chloride. And so we work with the vendor. They have 2 manufacturing sites. And so we've switched to a more favorable manufacturing site that tries to lower our copper, and still working on that issue. And so, and this number is also influenced by, we've had multiple dry years. So if you again throw wet years in, because it's per million gallons, the number looks different. So. And electrical cost, same story, is electrical cost, continues to escalate across all accounts. And again, we continue to expect that to increase. There are some actions, the administration's requested an emergency PJM auction. We'll wait to see if that ever transpires. To require certain parties to purchase, additional generation capacity. And so, but at least the outlook now is we do understand the next 3 years, we'll see some level of ongoing increase.
So Harvey, to your question before, it kind of would look like we've kind of used our savings up through 24 and then,
Yeah.
and then we could, after that, it's kind of gone up.
Next up. There's not an AWWA statistic, but to be in common with the presentation on water. So this is the percent capacity used of our BPS permit. And so you can see we're about 57-58% of our permitted capacity. Our permit contains, all permits require what they call a capacity reopener that's 95%. So the state says the 95%, when you trigger that for 3 months, then you have to submit planning for expansion of capacity. So we have, the good news is there's plenty of capacity for economic development across the region, served by the regional wastewater. The community systems numbers, just give me an idea on the community systems. Those are the peripheral systems. Franklin County, Botetourt, our surrounding areas, that even some of those systems have some capacity to support additional capacity. So this is the trending side for our electric. This is useful to just help understand year over year. So the blue line is last year's, the red line is this year's. So our utilizations remain consistent, so the differentiation here really is related to the cost of power per kilowatt hour. So I think our team's done a very good job of trending and watching. We use an energy manager program to be able to survey our whole system and ensure that we don't see any energy vampires out there using too much power. So this is on the water operations group. And next slide. And this is wastewater operations. So while you see the costs went up, actually our costs are lower than last year. Our utilization is lower. So part of that's a function of the dry year. And as we see dry weather, we're able to cut power utilization. Then for our peripheral activities, as Mike mentioned, we have our biosolids program. So we have inspectors, we have our environmental programs that do our compliance work. So last year we land applied 5,360 metric tons of biosolids. Our industrial pretreatment, those are our permitted industries. So we have about 66 permitted industries. We completed inspections at all the industries, the random sampling. We completed 1,672 home inspections and found 54 defects that were corrected. And then the septic haulers, the board helped take action last year, bring this down. It shows you the difference. We had 4,652 loads in 2025. We had 3,731 the prior year. So it's really the issue we highlighted for the board, that there were changes in the market driving it. The last couple of months, with the board support to change rates, we're seeing some of those come down, and I hope that trend will continue. Our maintenance department, we're blessed with a really phenomenal maintenance team that does a lot of rebuild. Really helps keep our costs down. So they completed 3,727 work orders last year. We do always want to be on the proactive preventative side. So we trended at 69.8% of our work was preventative proactive work. About 26.9% were the breakdowns. And then 3.3 are the new projects, and that's the things the maintenance team, if we have capacity, they take on some new projects. Next slide. And then our capital team. I'm really proud of the capital team. They keep driving forward a lot of important projects. Really proud of the work for the Ferrum water treatment plant. The facility looks great. One of our philosophies is we tell our team, we should be able to go anywhere and show a picture of where your water comes from and be proud of that. So we want to keep the facilities in good shape. So they managed, projects in excess of $15 million last year. Be happy to bring the, Beaver Dam project to conclusion. Those take a lot of manpower and tracking on the large projects. And then they're just all the peripheral projects on task. So that.
Thanks, Scott. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, next we will go over the customer operations performance metric for 2025. And the first performance measure for field operations is the combined water leaks and breaks per 100 miles of pipe coupled there. In 2025, we had 56. It was the second highest for the past 5 years. But I looked a little further back, and in 2016, it was 73, and in 2018, it was 79. So we have made improvement if you look over a longer period.
This is just an area that, highlights continued capital investment. We have, the period there, we had cold weather. A lot of those mains were 1920s, 1930s vintage, and we just need to get out there and replace them. So.
And Mike mentioned that cold weather in January of last year, we had 156, so more than we had this past January. And it was a fifth of all the total main breaks we had for the year of 2025. Our hydrant out of service rate in 2025 was 1%. We only had 63 hydrants out of service for last year, and it is right in line with the median of AWWA benchmark study for 2025.
I'll note on those, one of our problems is just people hitting them with their cars. That's a good portion of those that Leona mentioned there, just traffic accidents where people run into them. So.
What period of time are you consider to be out of service?
We try to not have more than 10 hydrants out of service in a month, so you can imagine it gets fixed. Yeah.
We also, on the traffic ones, to the extent that we can identify a party, we actually do go after some insurance recovery on that.
When we look at our water distribution O&M cost per 100 miles of pipe, we did see a slight decrease in 2025 from 2024, and we were right about the median of the AWWA benchmark study. The increase that we saw in 2023 were mostly related to repair part increases, and in 2024, it was for our paving. In 2025, we continued to cut back on that backlog we had in paving, and we contracted with 3 paving contractors to help with that. We are happy to say earlier this month, we had less than 600 open paving cuts in total, and less than 250 of those were in the city. Also want to point out here that we are comparing our 2025 operating costs to 2023 operating costs that were reported in the AWWA in 2024. So we're not really looking at the same time periods. The survey integrity looks at failures or blockages per 100 miles of pipe in our sewer system. Our number in 2025 was 5.8. If you look at the chart to the left, we are comparing our historical numbers to the miles of pipe that we maintained in each of those years, and you can see how the miles of pipe we maintained have increased over time. The chart to the right looks at our statistics compared to the AWWA benchmark. Over the last 3 years, we saw a decrease year over year, and in 2025, we were below the 25th percentile of the AWWA.
What happened in 2022? I mean, it seems like just a spike right there.
We took over Vincent.
Yeah.
Okay,
The short of it.
thank you. Enough said.
non-capacity or dry weather sewer overflows compared to our wet weather overflows. Looks again at the number of overflows per 100 miles of pipe. We're happy to report that between 2024 and 2025, we saw a decrease in each one of these performance measures. The number we had for dry weather overflow in 2025 was 3.4 per 100 miles of pipe, and it was just 0.6 above the 25th percentile of the AWWA benchmark study. Our wet weather overflows decreased by 0.6, and it was 1.7 above the 25th percentile of the AWWA benchmark study. We did have 43 wet weather overflows last year, and 38 of them occurred in 1 month, in February, when we had 3 inches of rainfall over a 2-day period after we already had a major snow melt event. So soil was back to everything. Our sewer collection O&M costs per 100 miles of pipe, that increased slightly in 2025 over 2024, but we are still around about the 75th percentile of the AWW benchmark study, which is really good. Some of the reasons for the increase in 2025 was for our chemical root treatment that increased by 70% last year, and we had to do that to maintain the warranty on those treated pipes. We also saw some increases in sewer construction costs for repair parts, and traffic control was highlighted in there. Next, we're going to look at our customer service, billing and collections performance measures. The first is the percentage of accounts on electronic billing, and we had a tremendous increase of 7% in 2025. For us to print and mail a utility bill in 2025 cost 82.5 cents. And that is really cost effective because we do our printing in-house. But the over 34,100 customers that received their bills electronically resulted in almost $340,000 in cost savings. So we want to continue to encourage our customers to sign up for e-billing. Our payment method comparison highlights that 52% of the payments that we received in 2025 came through online payment methods. So it's either on our website or through online banking. That was a 0.5% increase over 2024. We saw a 2% increase in customers making payments via electronic bank drafting, and another 31% of our total payments came in through the electronic bank draft method. So the total between these two payment methods is over 83%, and that is the most cost-effective way we can receive payments. To process a payment manually last year cost us $1.17, and that came down because our operations for the lobby closed, and we have less staff doing that. When a customer pays online, there is no charges to the water authority, and the customer pays a convenience fee of $2.50 to the payment processor. We pay 17 cents for e-check payments and also for bank draft payments, but really these electronic payments is the best way to receive our.
So it's kind of an interesting thing that roughly half of our customers still like to get a paper bill in the mail, but 80% or more are paying electronically. So I can only surmise by that people still like getting the paper bill as a reminder, but they're paying it electronically. But
I like my paper bill.
Yeah, so I guess that's if people like the paper bill. Yeah.
It is very interesting. Our payment processor kind of helps us promote these online delivery of utility bills. And so it kind of defaults customers into that. And so many customers reach back to us and say, I don't need to get that electronically. I want my paper bill.
Is that the drop boxes?
Yes, drop boxes, our kiosk, and manual payments. And then the rejects that come through our mail-in payments through
Do you ever see a day where we get rid of the drop boxes?
But they're popular, so I kind of doubt it, but you know.
It's so expensive.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, it is. But the traffic we see at our payment kiosk, it's incredible. So I don't know why you would drive all the way downtown to come pay a utility bill, but people do that. The average calls answered per customer service rep in 2025, it was slightly higher than in 2024 and 18% above the 75th percentile of the AWWA benchmark. So they outperform other utilities by far. Our average talk time was 4 minutes and 48 seconds, which is right in line with the 25th percentile of the AWWA benchmark study, and almost twice as long as those utilities who are in the 75th percentile. But our first call resolution rate is 99.3%. That is 4.5% better than the 75th percentile of the AWWA benchmark study. And the reason we have that is our customer service reps are very well trained, and we provide them with numerous tools to help them while they're on calls. And one of those is the ability to chat in a group with their peers and supervisors while they're on a call. So if they don't know the answer, they can get that from somebody else while they're on the call with the customer. That naturally increases our talk time, but we end up with a very high call resolution rate, and that it provides better customer service in the end. Our abandoned call ratio in 2025 was 5.47%, and that was exactly what we had in 2023, and 2.5% less than what we had in 2024. It is below the median of the AWWA benchmark, which is 6.5%. We, of course, want to do better in this performance measure. We want to answer as many calls as we can from our customers. And we've mentioned before that we're looking at an AI solution for our call center. And we've made great progress in finding a possible product to put in the call center. And I believe the statistics we'll provide you in the future after we have that in place will look a lot different from what you see here today.
Leon, if you don't mind me mentioning, I remember just to give for the newer board members, especially when we had a lot of turnover in this department, we considered outsourcing this department. And I'm really glad that we decided to keep it. You've done a great job cleaning it up and, you know, making a really good team. And I'm glad we still have that call center in our.
Part of that process was to put a dedicated trainer in place, and Mike graciously allowed us to hire more staff. So it was really a team effort.
We're kind of really excited about the AI solution because to Leona's point here, you know, some people just aren't patient, right? They call in, they don't get somebody talking to them right away, they hang up, and so the AI will engage them right away on the phone and hopefully keep them there. And they can answer their questions fine, but keep them on the call long enough for the operator to get to them. So.
And the solution we're looking for will replace our group chat because our agents will be able to get answers from the AI while they're on the call with the customer as well.
Sort of like when I was in the branch and the line would get long, I would just go talk to people in line.
Yeah.
It would be
Kind of
experience.
exactly.
And they weren't as mad when they got to the teller. So.
Exactly.
Your call is important to us.
And let's try and stay away from that. When we look at our staffing, we look at the number of employees in an area compared to the total number of employees, full-time employees in the water authority. In 2025, 1.6% of our total full-time employees worked in our billing area. That is below the 1.9% of the 25th percentile in the AWWA benchmark study. We are able to perform as well as we do with a small number of staff in billing because of all the automation we put in place in our billing processes. And all that started back when we put the AMI in place. So similarly for our customer service area, in 2025, 2.6% of the total full-time employees in the water authority worked in customer service. And that is below 4.5% of the 25th percentile in the AWWA benchmark study. And if you compare that to the 10.5% of the majority of utilities, in the AWWA benchmark study, our staff really does a tremendous job. Our disconnect ratio in 2025 was 0.72% of the total customer that got disconnected for non-payment. That is right in line with a 0.7% in the 75th percentile of the AWWA benchmark study. This is a performance measure we typically break down by zip code because of the disparity in income in our service area. And we will do that again in the future.
So, again, for maybe some of the newer members, this is where I'm gonna brag on Harvey. A few years ago, those numbers weren't as good. And, Harvey really challenged us to come up with better ways to think about disconnects and getting people reconnected and, lower our fees and all that kind of stuff. And so the last few years, you can see it's really, those numbers used to be significantly higher than they.
Yeah, if you look
they
at
were
it
there.
before that.
Yeah, but, really, coming in, pre-COVID, I would say those numbers were much higher. So,
Exactly.
we've tried to be, a little more, I guess friendly is the best way to put it about that. Yeah.
Great.
And of course, go ahead.
Are most of them in the city of Roanoke?
They are, typically
No.
there's three zip codes. That
That
actually,
benefit, Ms. Turner, if we can share the numbers.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
zip code by disconnection
Yeah.
by zip code.
either this month or the April meeting.
I will add it to the next
Yeah.
board report, so you
Yeah.
can see those numbers.
But, the highest percentage by zip code is actually southeast.
Oh,
But the
I
highest
see that.
total numbers are in 24016 and 24017.
Northeast.
North. Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
These are our actual staff. Last year, we show more of them. These are all the ones you haven't seen before. So these, the next couple of slides will go over the highlights for the different areas in customer operations, and we're starting with billing, collections, and customer service. We made a organizational change and we split IT and customer service billing and collections last year. And we hired a new assistant director over customer service and meter operations. You all have met Rachel, I think, in the past, and she has done a phenomenal job in that role. Chris Lubash, he won the DARS Champions Award, and he continues to do a great job for us in customer service. The table to the right has a lot more statistics. I'm not going to go over all of them, but I want to highlight some of them. Our billing staff processed over 872,000 utility bills last year. And just to remind you, 53% of those utility bills were printed in-house, and those same staff handled all that paper, loading the printer and getting it boxed up to send out somewhere. Our collection staff processed over 74,900 delinquent notices and also over 7,000 payment batches last year. In addition to all the calls that they answered, our customer service staff responded to over 5,300 written communications to our customers. Billing and customer service have some shared tasks, and one of them is the move-in, move-out service orders. We processed over 10,200 of those last year.
That number always amazes me, that we have 10,000 accounts changing hands every year. People leaving one place and moving into
Moving
another.
into
So,
another, yes.
Have you seen that trend go down in the last couple of years?
No,
yeah, I don't think so. It's, yeah,
Okay,
I think it's actually going up.
yeah.
good.
Highlights from our information technology team, the organizational change, of course, impacted IT as well. And we hired a new IT director last year. Stephen McLaughlin, the features here, joined us in September, and he has proven to be a great addition to our IT team already. Some of the projects we completed in IT include an Office 365 migration. we embarked on a major network upgrade and we're right at the end of that project right now. We also implemented phase 2 of the new services application. In March, we did the conversion for Craig Newcastle and took them on as well. And we expanded the use of our enterprise asset management system. You may recall we went live with that in August of 2024. And last year we added modules for water sampling and septic water disposals. And then we also made sure that our enterprise applications stayed up to date, making sure we get them all upgraded. Lastly, we're going to look at highlights from field operations. In 2025, we restructured our standby crew duties based on the crew's skill sets. And as a result, we've seen great improvements in efficiencies for the work we perform after hours. Donnie Rowan won the mini excavator competition at the National Equipment Rodeo in Chicago, and he is a national champion. Our field crews installed over 16,500 linear foot of water main and over 2,200 linear foot of sewer main in 2025. That is the most pipe we've put in the ground at field ops since in a single year. Our field operations staff also managed the installation of over 18,300 linear foot of pure-in-place sewer lining. And we completed the service line inventory requirement of the lead and copper rule revision. We have all of our water systems in compliance using the statistical method. Our field operations continue our in-house training efforts, and we train 76 of our staff in confined space training and 35 in trench safety training. We also continue to lead the regional effort for CDL training. We trained 12 of our own staff last year and 43 employees from the city of Roanoke, Roanoke County, and Roanoke Gas.
So, Mr. Chairman, next month, it's all revenues, rates, and expenses. And Tammy will be taking you through the budget update. We're going to try to dispense with the usual reports and everything and have maximum amount of time to cover that because we have a lot of material to cover.
We'll get our microphone.
Yes. And happy to answer any questions about the material presented today.
Great information.
Absolutely great. All right. No further comments? Okay, great reports. I agree, Harvey. It's good. All right, comments from board members? Any comments?
I just have one question. You did that graph tell us report that was attached. Are we going to discuss that at all, or is that just for a reading?
That's for your reading ahead of next month's.
So it'll be on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, oh, thank you.
For next month?
Yeah, wanted to get that out ahead of time. Yeah, for the rate discussion.
Okay.
It's we're still trying to finalize that, but we wanted to get that out to you all to take a look at ahead of the rate discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from board members? I have one, and that's complimenting the staff on the completeness of the packets every month. The information that you all provide us every single month is just awesome.
Thank you, Mike.
So another way to describe it, I'm blown away every month by how much information is shared by you all and how much work goes into those packets. It's much appreciated, and the board does, and sure the public does as well. So thank you all. Thank you do that for us. Any other comments?
I'd just like to thank Mike for his attending the meeting, the community meeting on the data center.
Oh, yeah, thank
And
you.
it looks like it went pretty well since we don't have any other comments today.
Great.
Yeah, it was a good event. And we're going to have something in March and looking for other opportunities to get our information out. We're actually starting to see some results back from our consultants a little bit on the water supply planning piece. So we're anticipating the summer we'll have some opportunities to discuss that with you all, and then maybe again have a open house to share that with the public.
Is there anything going on with any of the design or anything?
For
The studies or the studies for the facilities?
Oh, yeah, so we're continuing to work on how we would get the water from essentially Carbon Scope to the data center site. Continue to work on those designs. We're getting close to a point where we need the client to kind of make a decision.
Yeah.
And one of our decision points, there's gonna be, do they want to take that construction on themselves? They want to pay us to manage that. So those are all in the work as well.
So they've gotten through the preliminary engineering?
They have, yeah.
Okay.
So we're getting there.
Got any public questions to see any of that?
Sarah's getting quite a few information requests. This is maybe a downside of AI. They all look very similar. The little two squiggly S lines in with their
Section symbol.
yeah, there's section symbols for state code. I know I don't know where to find that on my keyboard, but we're getting information requested to have those section symbols in different places, and I know those are all being AI generated. So
Alt 2-1.
is that what it is?
Oh, yeah.
What is it again?
Alt 2-1.
Okay.
So unless you're an attorney, and so we're getting these in, and Sarah's responding to them. Generally, what happens is we're able to negotiate a solution that lowers the scope. Like we had one that recently was like every email for the entire organization over like last 3-year period, so we kind of try.
They do put a burden. I mean, they can be very burdensome.
I'm just curious, what are we doing with the correspondence that are just coming through, like, to the water authority, not in the FOIA, format?
So you have 2 of them in your package today, I think. Those have dropped off a little bit, but when I can, I try to respond to them. I think you actually have an email from one of our customers that's a little upset with me, and rightly so. I'm behind on getting her a response, but she's asked for we've provided her a $1,200 credit. There was a long-term leak at her meter. She's asked to have that reviewed, and I owe her a response. I think she sent something to y'all today about that, so. But to the extent we can, we try to respond to them, or address it through our website. We'll add something to the website. So right now on the website, besides the contracts and frequently asked questions, all our prior water supply documents going back
To the 1940s.
yeah, have been all digitized and put out there so people can see kind of what's been thought about in the past for water supply and how we got to where we're at. In fact, somebody actually did read that. It was one of the items that's in your package. Somebody looked through and kind of had questions there. So we have not had a chance to respond to that one yet. That just came in a couple days ago, but people are reading the information.
No other comments, any other business for the board to address?
Mike's got some things in front of him.
Yeah, I just point out that Kiwanis Pancake and Auction Day is coming up. It's April 25th this year, so a week earlier than it usually is. So if you need tickets, I have to do this before Mike Loveman aces me out. He's also a member of the club. And Mike is a top seller every year, so he's hard to compete against. So if you're interested in buying tickets, either Mike or I can help you out with that.
Yeah, like,
You gotta be quick with Mike.
if there's no other business for the board to address, I call the meeting adjourned.
Thanks. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Get some time back.
Yeah, really.
For all the meetings that went over.